That shouldn't be a surprise, especially since big names like BlackRock, Fidelity, Franklin Templeton, Wisdom Tree, and many more are getting into crypto. And Ripple and even XRP are used in some of these smart purchases. That's where I think the next big wave will start, which is Wall Street going all in. In fact, this all began when Robinhood bought WonderFi, Canada's top crypto trading site. I really believe this proves that Robinhood is following through on what they said they would do, which is to put all of their money into crypto. They've been buying things for a long time with a plan. We know that Robinhood is buying Bitstamp if we go back to the summer of 2024. Now, this is what we expect in the first half of this year. We haven't heard much about this, so we don't really know what's going to happen next. But we do know a few things. Here are some good reasons for Robinhood to buy Bitstamp. First, institutions are getting into the institutional space. This will increase the size of the market they can reach and the services they can give to help liquidity providers, hedge funds, and financial institutions. Customers and contracts from all over the world, including the EU, US, UK, Singapore, and the BVI, as long as the government agrees. Exchange, which is a world-scale exchange built to help institutional and advanced traders with liquidity and new features in the future. For customers who qualify, it offers crypto as a service, white label services, staking, and institutional loans. Then there are coins, which are more cryptocurrency assets, including 85 or more in some places. It's clear that this is a very important purchase for them. We even plan to close in the first half of 2025 as long as the usual closing conditions were met, such as getting regulatory permission. At this point, this is probably still up in the air, but this is really important to pay attention to, especially if you have XRP, since it has to do with Ripple and XRP. As an example, let's look over here. This is the big news about why I'm talking about all of this. This is the list of the 2 new purchases. 7 days after buying WonderFi, Robinhood sent the SEC proposals to govern tokenized real-world assets. The goal was to get Wall Street on the blockchain and open up a $30 trillion 0-cents market. This is actually very important because, as we already know, Robinhood has been very involved in pushing the SEC to pass tokenization laws and rules. I also want to draw attention to the fact that BlackRock's Larry Fink also asked the SEC to get the ball rolling on tokenization. We can see from this that all the big players are ready to tokenize in a big way. Since Robinhood is a major player on Wall Street, it's clear that things are going very quickly on that street. Besides this, let's talk a bit about the purchase, right? Let us talk about what it means for Ripple and XRP that Robinhood bought Bitstamp from them. In the first place, Ripple is a big deal in the Bitstamp world. Bitstamp is also being bought by Robinhood. It is making a perp dex on the XRP ledger for derivatives. We've also been focusing on this since about the same time that we heard that Robinhood was buying Bitstamp, right? According to Bitstamp, they are building a derivatives market based on the XRP ledger. This was said sometime in the summer or fall. There's been no news about that yet. I still think this is planned though. However, Robinhood is trying to tokenize things at the same time that they are buying Bitstamp. This is all because of institutional and Wall Street plays to tokenize things, so I think it has something to do with XRP. It has a lot to do with Ripple as well. I will talk about that now. But we also know that the SEC's work on tokenization is very important. We know that since May 12th because at 1 p.m. today, the SEC Crypto Task Force Roundtable will talk about tokenization, ET, with people from BlackRock, Fidelity, NASDAQ, and other companies. Once more, these are some very big names and many of them are Wall Street giants. That makes a lot of sense, right? It's Wall Street time. There is no reason why Wall Street can't tokenize assets. They want to tokenize because it lets them really go after trade 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the start of that process. Now, we'll talk more about Robinhood, tokenization, and even XRP. Remember this movie from May 15th? Forgot to include it in any of my movies while I was on vacation, but we do have Vlad Tenev of Robinhood and Raoul Pal, the $100 trillion 0-cents market, the echo chamber, and the flip of the switch XRP. Just look at this from Rise XRP. Yeah, I mean, if I estimate the trend rate of growth from crypto, I get to about $100 trillion 0 cents in 10 years. And that wouldn't be the case with other types of assets. It doesn't matter if I'm off by 50%. If it's 100 trillion, we're still only 3% of the way there. But even if I'm wrong, it will still be the biggest and fastest event in history that makes people rich. I think people don't understand how much capital will be made through this, what that capital will be used for, and how, as you said, it will completely change the game when it comes to getting capital. Yes, that being said, I think what you're saying could happen, but I don't think it will be native crypto assets like we have now. That being said, this is just my opinion, so please don't take it too seriously. I think that one day we'll turn on a switch and all of the stock markets will be run by crypto technology. It will be a lot like how technology has grown as a field. But it also sector, but because of how the system forces people to behave and how they use tokens, it will benefit those tokens in the same way using AWS benefits Amazon, but using Ethereum benefits people who own Ethereum tokens. That's where the making of money comes from. The whole system of money can be built on it. We will definitely do that. That was my first, in 2013, I wrote the first strategy piece on cryptocurrency. This is what I thought would happen. The whole banking system would have to go on it. And I agree with that. But that rise in token value is pretty big. Yes, that will grow, you say. And it will benefit the platform layer, the blockchain layer itself. Yes. I mean, it will build up on different levels since there are basically two, the applications layer and the infrastructure layer. Tech is all it is. Also, this is really true. It's like we're talking about markets worth hundreds of trillions of dollars. This market is just beginning to scratch the top of about $3,400,000,000,000. 0 cents. There is still a lot more for us to not only bring on chain, but also watch, right? Remember all the moves we'll probably see in the next few weeks, let alone the months and years to come. Yes, Wall Street is moving on chain. When we look at what's really going on, lots of trillions of dollars are going along a chain. It will increase the value of the base assets such as XRP, making them worth tons of money. That's what I said, because you need to think about it this way, right? They're not messing around with billions of dollars in some of these areas and use cases like institutional DeFi. They're messing around with a lot of money. What these companies are talking about when they talk about tokenization is that their total assets under control are over $20 trillion. So if we look at what's really going on, the big players are telling you what plan to follow. They are here to make tokens. They want to get things going. It's not just about the value going on the chain though. The value will change on the chain, and we will trade, swap, and deal with it on the chain as well. There will be trillions moving on the chain, and then trillions trading back and forth on the chain. Wall Street looks very different now. This is the new Wall Street. On top of that, we recently heard Vlad Tenev say that settlement times should be minutes instead of days. Tokenization is what the system needs to get better. Thanks for letting me come to the Bitcoin event. Also, check this out. I really hope you can hear it a little. It doesn't sound great, but you should still check it out. It takes more than one day to move your stocks from one seller to another. There are times when you need to go to a branch office in person and talk to someone on the phone. People don't do it then. Your stocks can only be bought and sold through a certain exchange. I also think it has to do